For tonight's reading, we are going to be featuring 6 Venezuelan poets who are currently living in Chile, who are in an anthology that has been edited and translated by David Brunson. So I'm just going to read David's bio and then hand it off to him to introduce a little bit about this project and about the work. So David M. Brunson is the editor and translator of A Scar Where Goodbyes Are Written, an anthology of Venezuelan poets in Chile from LSU Press. His poems and translations have appeared in Copper Nickel, Manoa, A Pacific Journal of International Writing, Anomaly, Diagram, Washington Square Review, the Journal of Italian Translation, and elsewhere. He is the co-founder and editor of Copihue Poetry. And we're excited to have David here tonight. David Brunson.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks for putting this together and organizing all of this. I love open mouth. I remember my very first day in Arkansas, I went to an open mouth reading. So I was like, I want to make friends and know what's going on in Northwest Arkansas, being displaced from Virginia. And yeah, it was an awesome community. Been to tons of events, cooked a lot of vegan and gluten-free food for different open mouth events. And yeah, no, I'm so happy to be able to be here with like all of my dear Venezuelan friends in Chile at that. So just to give a little bit of context, this is a very specific anthology. It's an anthology of Venezuelan poets who are living in Chile or who lived in Chile at the time of gathering the poems for this anthology. So Venezuela is experiencing a human rights crisis, and it's basically a forced migration because of the economic and political turmoil of Venezuela. It started back in 1999 when Hugo Chavez rose to power and sort of began this process of democratic backsliding. And through the gross mismanagement, corruption, etc., things became very difficult to live there. Just lots of random acts of violence on the streets, hyperinflation, all of this stuff. So people started leaving. And when I first came to Chile in 2018, I was just a tourist. And what happened was I came to know Chile, but I ended up spending all of my time during the trip with Venezuelans because more and more Venezuelans were showing up. And I was invited into the community to different poetry readings and different events. And so this project stemmed from that experience. So in 2018, when I started, about 3 million Venezuelans had fled their country, and there were maybe a couple hundred, like 200,000 or something like that in Chile. I don't know the exact number. And today it's over 7 million Venezuelans have fled their country in the past decade. And the number in Chile is close to 500,000 documented. But when you look at like the bureaucratic difficulties of like migrating, of being a refugee, of being rejected by the countries that you're trying to go to, that number is definitely much higher. So, you know, it's a full-blown migratory refugee crisis. So basically the idea of this poem was to, or not this poem, this anthology was to show the human aspect and the human cost of what has happened in a way that's often ignored by media, or that is harder to describe through statistics, through like Amnesty International or human rights reports. And yeah, it's basically an opportunity for the poets to share their stories and share their voices. So if you want more information, you can get the book from LSU Press, and there's a essay that has a lot of like facts and figures. But without further ado, let's hear some of the poets who are going to be here today, gracing us with their presence. So to begin, Ivana Aponte is going to read her poems both in the original Spanish and in English translation. So Ivana Aponte earned a degree in literature from the Universidad Católica Andrés Bello in Caracas and a master's degree in literature from the University of Chile. She is a copy editor, independent editor, and teacher of Spanish as a foreign language. Her poems have been published in Orquídeas Voces Muestra de Poesía Venezolana Contemporánea, Letralia, La Parada Poética, Ruca, Los Poetas del Cinco, in the anthologies Me Vibra Dos, Brevísima Antología Arbitraria, Panamá, Venezuela, en una cicatriz donde se escriben despedidas, Antología de Poesía Venezolana en Chile. Her collection Afectos was published by LP5 Editora in 2022. She has lived in Santiago, Chile since 2017. All right, take it away, Ivana.
Good evening. Can you listen? Oh, good. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the community of Open Mouth, because it was the first space ever where I read poetry at the first time and in English. And thank you very much, David, for being here with us and sharing with my poet friends. Well, I'm going to start, and now I'm going to read in Spanish each poem and then in English. So I'm going to alternate every poem. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with Coraza. Un cuerpo áspero, opaco, se entrega a otro displicente, da efímero placer, deja su olor, su acritud y su piel muerta. Una máscara sonriente oculta la pena, la ropa larga y angosta, encubre el descuido, los meses de abandono, vergüenza. Un cuerpo cansado, hastiado, desnutrido, que cree en el deber, extraña el origen y anhela la tierra, fundirse con la tierra. Shell. A ragged and opaque body submits to someone else complacently, gives ephemeral pleasure, leaves its sense, its bitterness, and its dead skin. A smiling mask covers the pain. Long and tight clothes conceal carelessness, months of neglect. Shame. A body run down and malnourished, believes in duty, misses its homeland, longs for the soil, sinks into the soil. Remanentes. Instantes de caos y violencia, reviven fantasmas. Sorry. It was on the right, in the wrong side, sorry. Remanentes. Huellas profundas en el cemento, que están pero se ignoran. La sangre austral rememora a la sangre de una tierra de desgracia. Instantes de caos y violencia, reviven fantasmas de cráneos, pechos, rostros baleados. El odio, con latencia fratricida, siembra temores de errancia, una nueva rancia. ¿Y qué haremos con tanta ceniza? El suelo irregular, vidrios rotos, rocas desfigurantes, son de la escena de guerra. Gases irritantes, cuerpos magullados, caen en el asfalto caliente. ¿Y qué haremos con tanta ceniza? El suelo irregular, vidrios rotos, rocas desfigurantes, son de la escena de guerra. Gases irritantes, cuerpos magullados, caen en el asfalto caliente. ¿Y qué haremos con tanta ceniza? Euforia de unos, llanto de otros, por momentos se hacen invisibles. Las ilusiones se rompen, el caos es el rey y la incertidumbre es la reina. ¿Y qué haremos con tanta ceniza? El fuego consume, los artificios foráneos, emergen del humo viejas pesadillas. El hollín llega hasta el fondo, oscurece la piel, opaca toda certeza posible. ¿Y qué haremos con tanta ceniza? Remnants, deep wounds in the concrete, there, but ignored. This southern blood, like the blood of the land of disgrace, moments of chaos and violence, revive ghosts of shut out schools, chests, faces, hatred with mother's deliberation, Saul's fears of wandering, a new wandering. And what will we do with all this ash? Uneven ground, broken glass, disfiguring rocks, a scene of war, poison gas, bruised bodies fall to the hot asphalt. And what will we do with all this ash? Euphoria for some, tears for others, sometimes invisible. Illusions are broken, chaos is king, and uncertainty is queen. And what will we do with all this ash? The fire consumes, pouring bruises, all nightmares emerge from the smoke. The soot falls with us, it smears our skin, blots out all certainty. And what will we do with all this ash? Sueño verde. Veo tus manos en la penumbra y en las hojas, acariciadas por el viento. Toman los hibiscus para la amada que llora frente al mar. Las manos escriben palabras, palabras de brisa, de fuego, de agua, de anhelo. Palabras tejidas de luces y brisa caribeña. Palabras para la amada triste. Las manos tocan el aire, siluetas ilusorias, el rostro lejano, los recuerdos arrancados por la peste. Mis ojos buscan las manos, buscan sus bifurcaciones, la piel erizada, el instante del consuelo, el tiempo detenido. Dreaming green. I see your hands in the half-light and on lips caressed by wind. They pick the hibiscus for their beloved who weeps by the sea. Your hands write words of laughter, of fire, of water, of desire. Words woven of light and Caribbean breeze. Words for a sad love. Your hands touch the air, quick silhouettes. Your face far off, memories ripped away by plague. My eyes search for your hands. They look for their creases, their raised hairs, a moment of comfort, time stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you for reading those, Ivana. It was amazing. I love the poem, What Will We Do with the Ash? That repetition is just beautiful. And yeah, seeing it in Spanish and English and just seeing just how masterful that repetition works. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I believe our next poet is going to be Lorena Caraballo.
All right, so Lorena Caraballo earned a technical degree in graphic design from the Instituto Universitario de Diseño Las Mercedes in 2013. She is a writer and editor of nonfiction articles, narrative fiction, and poetry. She has written film-related articles for the Venezuelan National Cinematheque, as well as fashion and lifestyle articles for Velvet Magazine Latino America. Her work has also appeared in blogs and on literary websites such as Sympathy for the Libro and digopalabra.txt. Since 2018, she has lived in Santiago, Chile, where she works as a Spanish-English interpreter. All right, Lorena, take it away.
Thank you so much to all of you for this chance. And I've heard about Open Mouth. I've had the chance of attending some of your hearings, both for listening to some of Ivana's poems. Ivana, it's a friend of mine for quite some time, and through her I met David, who gave me the chance to participate in this anthology. And to me, it's an honor to to be a first timer in this anthology live for everyone. All right. My first poet is called Saudade. Okay, I'm going to read in both English and Spanish. The first is called Saudade 1 o El Viaje. ¿Cómo se llama ese viaje que hace la mente ante la cámara? Tengo que describir las notas de un Nina Ricci mientras voy bajando las escaleras de la Plaza Altamira. En medio de una llamada médica, mi voz enumera síntomas de COVID, pero mis ojos ven el ocaso de Sabana Grande. Mis dedos pulen con un paño la plata mientras veo pinos y la colonia Tovar. Tengo que levantar la vista para ver el calendario, no para concentrarme, sino para que no se nuble mi vista cansada con la nostalgia. Saudade 1 or The Journey. What do you call this journey made by the mind before the camera? I have to describe the notes of a Nina Ricci perfume while walking down the stairs at Plaza Altamira. In the middle of a medical call, my voice lists COVID symptoms, but my eyes watch the sunset at Sabana Grande. With a cloth, my fingers shine silver, while I watch the pines of Colonia Tovar. I have to draw my eyes to the calendar, not to concentrate, but so that my tired gaze doesn't cloud with longing. Saudade 2 o migrar. Migrar también es saber leer mapas, saber de mapas. Es aprender a distinguir los cambios entre líneas de metro. Saber qué hora es demasiado temprano o demasiado tarde. Confirmar las sospechas de cuando alguien miente o no le importas. Migrar también es olvidar los arreboles de las 5 de la tarde por los atardeceres ígneos de un día gris de invierno. El olor del cuarto de costura por el de la estufa en medio de la sala. Las luces del comedor a medianoche por la de tu nueva lámpara. Migrar también es decir para tus adentros que el ticket que compraste para ese concierto compensa todos esos a los que no fuiste ni irás, y que no duele tanto el no tomar la mano de tus amigos ausentes cuando suena Jubilee Street. Migrar también es no saber qué hacer con los hados que te llevaron a sobrellevar la miseria en tu primera casa. No poder ignorarlos, ni matarlos, ni dejarlos bajo el hielo. No poder ignorarlos con tu ropa nueva o las frutas de la estación. Quizás dejarlos dormir por ahora, en esa gaveta dentro de tu corazón, hasta que aprendan tu nueva lengua, hasta que puedas compartirlos con alguien que no quiera pisarlos o se aburra de ellos o de ti, y vuelvas a verle el sentido a la magia y al amarillo del mundo. Okay. Saudade 2 or migration. Migration also means knowing how to read maps, to know about maps. It's learning to navigate the changes between metro lines, knowing what time is too early or too late, confirming your suspicions when someone lies when you don't matter to them. Migration also means forgetting the clouds that would glow red at 5 in the afternoon in the igneous sunset of a gray winter's day, the smell of the wood stove in the middle of the sewing room, the dining room's soft light at midnight beneath your new lamp. Migration also means telling yourself that the ticket you bought for that concert makes up for all of those that you would never went to, the ones you'll never go to, that it doesn't hurt so much not to hold the hands of your absent friends when Jubilee Street plays. Migration also means not knowing what to do with the spirits who help you bear the misery of your first home, unable to change them or kill them or lift them beneath the ice or ignore them with your new clothes or this season's fruit. Maybe let them sleep for now in that drawer inside your heart until they learn your new language, until they can be shared with someone who doesn't want to step on them, who won't grow tired of them or you, until once again you see the meaning of the magic and the yellow of the world. Por dentro la noche avanza. De niña leí un cuento sobre un señor al que no le gustaba la noche. De niña me quedaba hasta tarde mirando el faro de la televisión, siguiendo al canto de sirena de las comiquitas y, años más tarde, The Film Zone a la medianoche, hasta que el sueño me invadía. Entonces apagaba la tele y me acostaba a dormir. De grande llegué a volverme como aquel señor que tras años de oscuridad subió a la montaña y paró el avance de la noche con un grito, para decirle lo infeliz que hacía a todo el mundo. Pero, como en el cuento, la noche avanza igual, cubre los cielos, los cuartos vacíos, los proyectos a medias y en blanco, el cansancio, las peleas y los desahogos que nunca pasan del nudo en la garganta. De grande, la noche espera a que la nube tormentosa en mi pecho amaine, a que el cansancio y los deberes de mañana me sobrepasen, a que, como el señor del cuento, baje de mi montaña y me acueste a dormir. Pero, como el señor del cuento, tampoco puedo dormir. La noche en mí no habla, pero repite, hace eco que llena mi sueño. Y termino soñando con las estrellas que le formaré al día siguiente, una palabra, un movimiento, una tecla a la vez. Within me, the night advances. When I was a girl, I read a story about a man who didn't like the night. When I was a girl, I would stay up late, watching the TV's beacon, following the siren song of the cartoons, and, years later, the film zone at midnight, until drowsiness would invade me, and I turned off the screen and lay down to sleep. As an adult, I started to become like that man who, after years of darkness, climbed the mountain to stop the night's advance with a cry, declaring how unhappy it had made the entire town. But like in the story, the night came on anyways, covered the skies, the empty rooms, the projects half done and blank, the weariness, the fights and outpourings that would never rise from knot throats. As an adult, the night waits for the storm cloud in my chest to die down, for weariness and tomorrow's duties to overtake me, so that, like the man in the story, I descend the mountain and lie down to sleep. But, like the man, I can't rest either. The night within me doesn't speak. It only repeats itself, an echo that fills my sleep, and I end up dreaming of the stars that I'll shape into the dark the next day, following one word, one movement, one keystroke at a time. Thank you.
Way you talk about light is so beautiful. The TV and the igneous sunset is just such like a haunting image for me. The series of the first two is also just really, really gorgeous. Thank you for reading these. Our next reader is going to be Elisaria Flores.
Ok, Alisa, voy a leer tus traducciones, entonces podemos alternar. Tú puedes leer el castellano y yo el inglés, ¿te parece? Perfecto. Bueno, voy a leer tu biografía ahora.
Vale.
Okay. Elisaria Flores was formerly a professor in the Department of Humanities at the Universidad de los Andes in Venezuela. She is a poet, linguist, and textile artist who holds a degree in Hispano-American and Venezuelan literature. Her poems have been published in Literaria Quadrivium, Actual Universidad de los Andes, and El Salmón. Her poetry collection received an honorable mention from the biennial DIAS Award from the Universidad de los Andes. She is the author of El Torpe Andar, published by LP5 Editora in 2022. Bueno, Elisa, bienvenida.
Gracias. Muy feliz de estar aquí, de participar en esta lectura. Este poema se llama Río. El río de mi infancia arrastra piedras y neveras, mesas rotas, paraguas inservibles y anónimos cadáveres. En este río hay lágrimas y sangre, promesas incumplidas, suciedad y excremento y largas maldiciones junto a los restos de una casa y una diminuta mano de muñeca. El río de mi infancia es una rabia inútil atravesando la ciudad, su miedo bordeando las esquinas, su amenaza. Pocas flores conocen sus orillas, los blanquísimos lirios, las minúsculas espigas venenosas. El Guaire ha visto demasiado. La ciudad está desnuda y corre y baila y se emborracha. Celebra bodas de diamante o se pierde en despecho entre mercados y teléfonos. La ciudad ayuna o se atiborra, se disfraza, ruega y blasfema y se resigna. Desnuda, va asesinando en serie o suicidándose, traiciona y apuñala. A sus orillas, la maltratada exhibe sus heridas. El río de mi infancia es un silencio atroz y un rencor minuciosamente entretejido.
Okay, this poem is called River. The river of my childhood drags along stones and refrigerators, broken tables, useless umbrellas, and anonymous corpses. In this river, there are tears and blood, unfulfilled promises, muck and excrement, long-standing curses among the ruins of a house and a doll's tiny hand. The river of my childhood is a useless rage that pierces the city, its fear lining the street corners, lining their danger. Few flowers know the river's shores, the whitest lilies, small and venomous thorns. The Guayare River has seen too much. The city is naked. It runs and it dances and it gets drunk. It celebrates diamond anniversaries or becomes lost in spite between markets and telephones. The city either fasts or fattens. It creates disguises. It roars and curses and it resigns itself. Naked, it embarks on a killing spree or kills itself. It's a traitor, a backstabber. On its shores, the battered show their wounds. The river of my childhood is atrocious silence, tightly woven resentment.
Soledad. Trazo azul, línea larga, dibujo la mirada para enfrentar la calle. El rostro mío no, que no me vean, que el rostro de la soledad espanta. Azul bajo los ojos, agua, este fondo que toco doloroso.
Solitude. Blue stroke, long line. I draw a gaze to face the street. The face isn't my own. May they not see me. May this face of loneliness be frightening. Beneath the eyes, blue, water, this depth that I painfully touch.
Naufragio. Naufragio. Embarcación perdida. Arrojados a la orilla de nosotros mismos. Extenuados. Los que venimos del amor. Demasiado tristes para mirar el cielo. Demasiado frágiles y tristes. Nosotros, los arrojados del amor, sobrevivientes.
Shipwreck. Shipwreck. Lost vessel, cast to the shores of ourselves. Exhausted, those of us who come from love. Too sorrowful to see the sky, too frail and sorrowful. We, cast away by love, survivors. Gracias, Elisa.
Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. Oh,
Muchas gracias por leer tus poemas, son también muchos poderosos. El río de mi infancia es un silencio atroz. Qué increíble línea. Muchas gracias por leer. Our next reader is going to be Sarah Emanuel Viloria.
yeah, sorry, my internet just went down for a second. Just a moment. Okay, Sara Emanuel Viloria earned a fine arts degree from the Universidad Centro Occidental Lisandro Alvarado. She works as a professional artist and designer in Santiago, Chile, alternating between visual art and editorial projects. Her poetry has been published in the United States and Spain, has been anthologized in the Antología del Segundo Festival Internacional de Poesía de Santiago, and published in 2 chapbooks by Los Poetas del Cinco. She has designed books such as Poeta en Nueva York, Antología de la Novísima Poesía Larense, and Antología del Segundo Festival Internacional de Poesía de Santiago. Take it away, Sarah.
Hey, hi, thank you, David. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity of reading here. It's an honor for me. I want to say that this book is amazing. Lately, being Venezuelan and Chile is very complicated. We live sort of xenophobia. So this is the sort of things that shows the other side. The other day, I was talking with a friend and she was asking me about the book. She told me, do you think the poems are harsh? And I told her, I would love to see the face of the president hearing all of these voices, Venezuelan president. So that was an idea for me. And I'm going to read in English. I select, these are very emotional poems that talk about the experience of being at home, being an immigrant. Sometimes it's harder than you can imagine. And yeah, this is what I'm going to read. First one is I'm going only to read in English. First one is house. Red onion skins in the kitchen, a bouquet of peonies. I recycle fire from the stubs of smoke joints. In the ashes, Swift who never wished to be a phoenix. In the bathtub, traces of early mornings alone. Water in cups, wine in glasses, bitter coffee on my tongue. Curiosity a seasoning. The house is my laboratory. The ants flee. I am a tyrant. But the light lingers. Prism cars my eyelashes, my ears and my thighs. The boards creak, but I never feel so sure of my steps. The cats prowl around. They lick me. We are at war with the bosses. We ignore them. We accept the noise. At home, we always upset. We slow down. We consume ourselves. My pillows dream of self-immolation. My dreams are extinguished. What are they? Someone brought me rare cigarettes from Brazil. Books with beautiful pages. Cilantro leaves caress the window. The lentils cook next to the teapot. At sunset, monotony is an island where the world stops. I turn and stumble over my shadow. For someone who only knows shipwrecks, it doesn't matter how many rivers are close to home. The cat's water fountain sounds gentle. I wash myself like Sexton. I am a watercolor. I wash off. And perhaps the reflection on the polished floor accused me of existence. Next one is missing. In this story you escape. In this story you bleed. In this story you survive. This is by Caitlin Seal. When I will see their disappeared faces on the boxes of milk, I imagine that I also be either alien or lost. Seen from my passport, I never thought I mattered enough to be one of those women, prints on cardboard, mutilated perhaps, missing, smiling, giving rein to memory from some pantry full of Canadian products, next to the cereal one Sunday morning, disappearing into a table without a country, in front of the crumpled cardboard box, after they've drunk all the milk, as from the TV, Miss Venezuela's music announces a new dawn. And the last one is Maculate. 1. Mom paid me in ice cream to keep my hands from scratching. So many plaster casts has to be removed, as if it were possible to give the village virgins back their hands that had fallen beneath the weight of the old lady's kisses. 2. When I was 13, I jumped out of the window, my body gone deaf, the pavement a music box. My heels struck the earth's bass drum, my spine cast off in that cocoon, my childhood baptized in butterflies of blood. The virgins applaud. 3. The girl discovered the pain of the white page in the hands of an older painter and celebrated. Learn how to cry over spilled milk, sir. The teenager tattooed burning and darkness on the same arm. Thank you.
Thank you for reading these, Sara. The scenes that you have are just so heartbreaking and powerful. I keep thinking back to Casa, the red onion skins, the kitchen, the bouquet of peonies, I recycle fire. There's just so much you do with silence that is just really, really masterful. Thank you for sharing these with us.
Thank you.
We're really happy to have you here. Our next reader is Georgia Ramirez.
Okay, Georgina, vamos a alternar como lo que hicimos con Alicia. So, Georgina Ramirez has a degree in social work and specializes in group dynamics and art therapy. She is the creator and director of La Parada Poética. Her poems have been published in anthologies such as El Ojo Errante, La Mujer Rota, La Voz de la Ciudad, Miradas y Palabras sobre Caracas, Para Bien o Para Mal, Arte Poética, 100 Mujeres contra la Violencia de Género, 102 Poetas Llamen, El Puente es la Palabra, Aquel Invierno que Gritamos, La Mujer Rota, y Fragua de Fresas. Her published collections include Piel de Durazno, Lo que cae la noche, and Daño Oculto, and Un poema llamado País, as of like a couple of months ago. Very good book. She lives in Santiago, Chile. Vamos, Georgina.
Gracias, David. Gracias a todos. Un gusto estar con ustedes acá esta noche. Plegaria. ¿Dónde los deditos de tus manos, niño triste, tarareando una canción? Racimos púrpura, los gestos de tus brazos. La noche engulle la miseria que desgarra tu día. Tañes tu sonrisa a la tierra que te arrulla, amamanta tu insomnio. Duerme, niño, en tu cama de cemento. Refúgiate del frío. Que sirvan para algo los periódicos de mi país.
Prayer. Where are your little fingers, sad child, humming yourself a song? Those purple clusters, the movement of your arms. The night swallows the misery that mangles your day. Your smile strums to the earth who coos you to sleep, nursing your insomnia. Sleep, child, in your concrete bed. May you find shelter from the cold. May the newspapers of my country be good for something.
Daño oculto. Me dejo caer en gotas sobre su lengua. Se entrega a pedazos. Le devuelvo el gesto. A veces intuye que no soy suya y me enternece. Los domingos viene cargando abedules para mi vientre y un trébol azul que me corre hasta los pies. Me bebo su calma cuando se duerme. Le dejo toda la nostalgia en la espalda. Me abrazo a sus sueños. Entiendo que aún no es el momento de decirle que ya me he ido.
Hidden damage. I fall in drops over your tongue. You surrender until only pieces are left. I do the same. Sometimes you sense that I'm not yours and it softens me. On Sundays, you come bearing birch trees for my womb and the blue clover that runs down to my feet. I drink your calm as you sleep. Upon my back, I leave you all my longing. I embrace your dreams. I understand that even though it's not time to tell you, I've already gone.
Intemperie. Él le regala su último adiós. La despide con la mirada envejecida, como quien ha visto tanto amanecer a su lado que conoce todas las noches de su cuerpo. Ella le sujeta el alma, la anuda con palabras que ya no dicen, que son solo errancia. Promete otra noche, una última noche estragada que no sepa de mañanas, que estalle en el temblor de las carnes. Hay recuerdos que no saben despedirse.
Elements. He says his final farewell, sends her off with an aged glance, like someone who's seen so many dawns at his side, who knows all the nights of his body. She grips his spirit, knots it with words no longer said, they're only wandering. She promises another night, a final ravaged night that knows nothing of mourning, which shatters in the trembling of flesh, these memories that don't know how to say goodbye.
Y para cerrar, reo número 329727. Reposa el hombre a la espera, marioneta de su destino. Solo un suelo pestilente cobija el sueño. Piensa en la madre, su sexo en venta para el sustento y ese afán de protegerlo de las calles, obligado resguardo del desamparo. 1000 cruces no bastaron para bendecirlo. Entrar descalzo al calabozo, ordenan. En este inframundo, un par de trenzas pueden zanjar la vida. ¿Qué entienden los zapatos de libertad? Gracias.
Prisoner number 329727. The man leans back and waits, a marionette to his destiny. Only a filthy floor covers his dream. He thinks of his mother selling sex for sustenance, trying to save him from the streets, a forced shelter from neglect. 1,000 crosses couldn't bless him. He enters the cell barefoot, as they order. In this underworld, a pair of shoelaces can settle this question of life. What do shoes know of liberty? Gracias, Jorge.
Muchas gracias por unirte a la lectura. Las últimas líneas de tus poemas son tan poderosas. Muchas gracias. Is that our last reader? Are you going to read Julio's?
Yeah, Julio couldn't make it because of a
Yeah.
schedule complication, but I'm just going to read 3 of his poems just in English for the sake of time. Are we good on time? Like 5 minutes? Cool. Okay, so Julio Tisani lives in southern Chile where he works as a surgeon. His poems have been published in Letralia and Frifo. His collection, Árbol Genealógico, appeared in 2018. My father gave me 2 seeds. I keep them under my eyelids. They retrograde until they become amorphous cells. I've been forced to breathe slowly, to twist death's 13th knot. My solitude is a world of birds. My 3rd rib is broken. The atmosphere crushes me. Gauntness cradles me. Immortality hasn't stolen my memory. My race is diluted with grief. The thread of my lineage follows me from afar. I was born in a coven. Black milk nourished me. I can only shout omens. I can't walk upright. I can't. My sister was conceived in a waning moon while I was raised by wolves. My path isn't clear, it's tepid, and submission freezes me. Next, another untitled poem. You nourished the cub on your white teat with your thick blue milk like that of our mother. You couldn't fall asleep after a long day. You hardly dreamed of the cub. Where did your saliva begin to grow mute? Where did you begin to stray in your nightmare? Now you know. It was denied from you, exiled from your own dream. You won't be able to imagine a decent existence for yourself. You imagine your life awake forever. You'll wake up with the taste of insects in your mouth, those you devoured in your nightmare, bitter and rare. You'll remember their texture across your tongue. The cub has lived in your memory, taken pleasure in your girlhood, grown into an enormous wolf with sharp teeth, come to bite the palpitating organ of your dream. And finally, another untitled poem. In the same mirror where I left my mask and fingers, my grandmother, the frightened clairvoyant, learned that she'd fall into the same habits no matter what, that I'd be left waiting for her at her cold-winged resurrection. In a moment when the dogs barked too much and I surrendered my ears to the premonition, it was clear. My mouth would foam. You'd graze me with holy water. You'd vomit tethers. You'd read the Decalogue of Aries while touching my forehead. I had a fever, grandmother. I should have known that I'd tremble like this, arriving to the same soil as you. The premonition continued its course. Sanctify me forever on a green shroud. Sanctify me forever. With a dish full of flies, I tempt your final litany. That's Julio Tisane.
Supernatural themes are amazing. Yeah, I just love the ways that those are all speaking to each other. Yeah, thank you, David, for being here with us tonight. Thank you, gracias, Ivana, Lorena, Sara, Doritina, Elizaria. Thank you for reading with us. Muchas gracias por todo. It's been amazing to experience all your work, be here with y'all. If you want to, you should order your copy of A Scarf Where Goodbyes Are Written. Link to that in the chat. Beautiful work in Spanish and the English translations. Definitely check it out. Yeah, we're excited that y'all joined us here tonight. Thank you to our interpreters working in English and Spanish tonight. We're very grateful for all of your work, making this reading accessible to everyone. Yeah, but thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your evening and hope your summer is starting off well. Thank you.